Now, a few weeks ago, Noel Gallagher was talking to Mario Balotelli on this show. Today, he's back with his own opinions, and guess what? He's got lots of them.
All right, mate.
Very well, thank you.
Manchester City, your team, it's a bit of a far cry from when you used to watch at Main Road.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go and watch the team train at Platt Lane when I was a young lad.
Well done, Kevin, come on.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the greatest team of all? Manchester City.
Obviously, it's moved on a lot since then. Now, it's like you're kind of looking at the players and you think, there's so many superstars of the game, like Aguero and Tevez. They're all kind of right there in front of you. The players that we had back in those days, in the dark days in the 80s and the 90s, is all we could afford, you know. If the Sheikh hadn't have taken over, you know, we'd still have that calibre of players, and that's no disrespect to those players. But we all thought, as City supporters, that someday we would have our moment. And I've got to say, I thought that moment would be a penalty shootout winning the Carling Cup.
The rivalry with Manchester United has always been there. The derbies have always been special, but it's changed immeasurably, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, well, they take them more seriously now. They don't lose them anymore. United never would get beat by City at Old Trafford, ever. That's just unthinkable. Nobody in the world of football could ever have predicted what was going to happen.
6-1 to Manchester City!
That was the payback for the 80s and the 90s. The 6, I was on my knees in front of the telly, on my own. And the phone was ringing constantly, and I was thinking it was just people who were at the game. It was my manager trying to tell me my album had just got a #1. I couldn't have been less interested.
Do you think that the picture that's painted of footballers in the press, in the same way that the picture is painted of you and maybe your brother in the press, is very different to real life?
Let's be clear about this. We are British, and we don't like people earning that amount of money a week. And it's always earning this a week. And therefore, if he's earning £250,000 a week, you know, why has he not got a halo around his head? If you're earning 140 grand a week and you're 23, what's the last thing on your mind? Marriage. You're not sitting there with a garage full of Bentleys thinking, I really got to get a wife. I've really got to get a wife and a kid and stay in more. That's what I need to do.
The High Flying Birds, how is this different from your first Oasis album?
The spirit of this record is the same as Definitely Maybe, in the sense that I didn't know how it was going to be received. I wasn't sure of what audience I had. This was going to set the benchmark. So in that sense, but in every other sense, it's vastly different. It's a shame that the music industry has put its entire soul out to focus groups. You know, what do they want out there? What does the record buyer want? Who cares what the record buyer wants? The record buyers didn't want Revolver by the Beatles, but they got it and it changed the world. They didn't want the Sex Pistols, but they got it and it changed the world. They didn't want Acid House, but they got it and it changed the world. I do believe I watched my first Man City game from about halfway up the top.
Why do you think that football and music and maybe sport more generally sit so well together in British culture? What is it?
For me personally, the connection between music and football is, you can see with Balotelli, he'd love to be a gangster rapper. That's his real soul, they're there, do you know what I mean? But he's playing gangster football instead. Do you know what I mean?
It's a good way of looking at it, yeah.
And I'd love to be a footballer. I would love to have been Aguero or Tevez or, you know, any of those great centre forwards, and to score the winner for City. They're more linked now because footballers are like the modern day rock stars. You know, these footballers, and this is a travesty, and somebody's got to change this, Mr. Cameron, if you're listening. They earn more than rock stars. Yeah, Balotelli earns more money than I do.
Does that annoy you?
You wouldn't believe how much it annoys me.
But it's not all about money, is it?
Yes. No, it's not.